Hey everyone, this is Mike, and I'm here with Isaac.
Good morning.
Good morning. And we're here to talk about some video games. More specifically, we're here to talk about the new hit indie game from Team Cherry, which is Hollow Knight Silksong. Now, this is a game that's been anticipated for many, many years. I believe,
7 years.
yes,
7 to 6 years.
yeah, 7, yeah, around that time.
Because the game started back, 2018 was the first Hollow Knight game by Team
Yeah.
Cherry in Australia.
Yeah, very much so. And it's finally out. It's been out from the time of this recording, it's been out for 2 days. And this game has absolutely blown up. It's probably one of the biggest indie game releases of the year. Right now on Steam alone, it managed to hit over 500,000 concurrent players. It managed to shut down the storefront for Steam, the eShop for Nintendo, as well as affecting the shop for Xbox. It completely shut down multiple storefronts and people trying to own this game. And as it's a game, basically, obviously a sequel to the original Hollow Knight, which was a Metroidvania game where you basically go around this miniaturized world as like a bug warrior, and you basically wanted to save the world. To save the world is from this little world. It's very very cute, very charming. Now, and yeah, it's a very cool looking game. I've seen a lot of people play, and it does look like a very fun, very well made game with hand drawn art and just a very like open world that you can explore. And it's only $20, which is surprising. Very good for consumers. Apparently not so much for other people. Then we're gonna get into that. But before we do, please rate, comment, and subscribe because the YouTube algorithm has changed in recent months, and we do need a lot more engagement in order to get these videos rolling. But anyway, here's basically some articles coming from Dexerto. Like as mentioned, Hollow Knight managed to fly past 550,000 players in just a few hours after launch, which is pretty insane considering like when the game first launched, it had like 70,000 right away, which is also pretty good. If it managed to get that many like players and stayed at 70,000, that would have still been very very impressive. But the fact that it managed to get that much is just insanely crazy, and that's only on the Steam side of things. Who knows how much how big the game is on Nintendo Switch and Xbox? Is it on PlayStation? From
I believe so.
yeah, it should also be on PlayStation.
Should be on
as well.
PlayStation, Xbox,
Yeah,
Steam, and I believe also the Switch 2.
I know it was so much that it's funny because when the game started crashing the Steam storefront, people started posting memes about how the first boss is basically getting past the that
The
one
downloading
screen,
client.
the download client. In fact, there was like I saw the memes and it was kind of funny. There's some artwork I thought that was really cute, very funny. But yeah, it's a very impressive that it managed to get that much attention. Yeah, and another thing that has mentioned again, like I said, the game is only $20. A lot of people expected it to be a little bit more, 30 or 40. But yeah, selling it for 20 obviously makes the game very, very appealing for a lot of people because you're getting a very like 20 to 40 hour experience for that price. I think that's really, really, really good. However, there are some developers that feel that the $20 price might be a problem, and I think that's going to be probably the biggest part of this discussion. So again, here's an article from Eurogamer that says, "Is Hollow Knight's cheap price a problem for other indie games? Devs and publishers weigh in on its impact." Again, like it is pretty cool, but again, some developer managed to say on Blue Sky and X that it said the game is underpriced. It said like one guy said, "You guys are nuts for putting this at $20, and like you're going to like it's crazy." Yeah, it's a very crazy. Like another developer saying, a developer RJ Lake, as said, he's a composer who worked on the game called I Am Your Beast, and is also directing the rhythm adventure game called Unbeatable. Said Silksong honestly should cost 40 bucks, and I'm not even joking. I would go as far as to say it's bad and will have effects, and not all those effects are good. Believes that a game this scope and scale, considering how long it took to make, should be a lot more expensive, and he's basically saying that you're pricing other indie games out of the market with this stunt. Now, is that something you agree with?
Well, it depends on the situation. I think every game has to be looked in its own
Like
scope.
Yeah.
Yes, in terms of how we sit down and rate values. And again, we've had these conversations for between even triple A games, where we've always said that based on the quality of the game, the hours, the money, and the production value, not all triple A games we believe are worthy of that $70-$80 rank. And you can argue in the same situation when it comes to indie games too, depending on the popularity, the scope, the fanfare, the time of development, and the work on it. I can't say if it is or should not be. Again, I've never played Silksong, just like you. I've never played the Hollow Knight series, but it if you believe, and then again, I think it goes towards the individual as well as the consumer buying it. If the product is good, I think people are going to be willing to pay for whatever it is, as long as the quality matches the work, the production
Yeah.
in it. And I think that really just comes down to the consumer. So, I mean, if that one developer believes that, hey, this game was in development for almost 7 years, it's been and it's had a strong, loyal fan base that's been waiting for this game to come out,
Yeah.
which magically just popped up. Hey, yeah, the game's going to be released the next 2 weeks at Gamescom, or like Gamescom a couple weeks back.
In fact, it was early
Or even-
teased at during like a Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
That was the first, like, when it was first like teased, it's finally coming out. And when people saw that little, it was in like a little sizzle reel.
Yes.
And people saw it, like, what the fuck? It
Oh,
was like,
that just snuck into a
did it
sizzle
snuck
run.
into me? I remember
people-
seeing like Jacksepticeye mention like, what? Silksong is finally coming out.
Yeah.
You can't just tease it right there and just move the fuck on. Like, what the hell's wrong with you?
No,
I've been waiting for this game for years now.
Yeah, no. I think when you add in that, again, the loyalties of the product along with the times of development, I could see them making an argument point. Now, another argument about that is, how does it hurt other independent games with this release of Silksong? It's such an interesting situation, we realize, because that's now a big talking point, and it's not just for independent games. This is for all games. Like,
Yes.
argument, GTA 6.
Yes.
Everybody has now moved their games far away from GTA 6 because they didn't want it to
compete. They don't
compete.
Want to compete.
They don't want.
Yeah.
They definitely do not want it to.
They don't want that smoke.
No, they definitely don't want to compete with that. And I can see the same situation with independent games as well,
Yes.
too, because like, you don't want everybody holding on to the same, be in the same space where it cannibalizes other people's profits and ability for the other games to get exposure.
Because it was mentioned that this game was so anticipated, which is usually something that's reserved for big AAA releases. The fact that an indie game had that same like opportunity to cause like a rift in the development of other games, that other indie developers also decide to say, yeah, we're gonna have to push our release a little bit further down the road simply to avoid competing with this game.
Yeah. And it's so tricky too to do that as a developer too, because like you said, we also have to meet our quotas and deadlines too, especially if you're an independent developer. It's not like you have a publisher that can kind of back it up and keep you paid as long, and while they kind of get the timetable situated for these independent developers, yeah, it's kind of like, I don't want to say like a life or death situation in terms of how their livelihoods are being worked.
Unfortunately, it can be
Okay,
actually.
so yeah, it could, but I didn't know. Again, well,
Some developers really do
do
rely on
rely on that
these
money too.
games for
So
the money.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is a bit of a dangerous situation too. It is a little bit of a very strategic too. But at some points, if you are a developer, you can't really afford to push your game back another month, let alone another year, just because you're afraid of what this game may do to you. But like you said, if you do it too, it might be just judgmental. So I understand the issues that a lot of game developers are having right now at the moment with this game. It's a very tricky situation.
Yep, very much so. And moving back to again to the price tag of the game being $20, and I'm glad it's obviously it's a very good price. Definitely an easy steal for most people to just pick it up. But again, as this one developer RJ Lake said that it should be a lot more expensive, and considering that like many developers would definitely have to put it at a price in order to recoup the cost of development. But I do feel that Team Cherry is a very special case, considering this is technically speaking, it's a development team of only 3 people, and of course they did hire a lot of contract work. I believe from a lot of South Korean developers, like contract developers, in order to help get this game across the finish line. But again, contract workers only take one payment for their work and then they move on. While these developers obviously need the money to continue developing more games in the future, and having to split the profit only between 3 people, obviously isn't isn't going to be that bad. And when you're sending a game at that price, they obviously are making a good chunk of change. Especially, they probably didn't even anticipate this game to be blow up as much as it did. But I guess they really failed to see how anticipated this game really was. But yeah, I really think that yeah, maybe this game should. I still think it's a 20 is a good price. Maybe it should have been a little bit more expensive, but I feel it's just as a special case for a team this small to be able to price the game as it is, and I don't think that developers need to worry about so many other games out being like outpricing other indie games out of the industry, because I really think just because how special and how anticipated Hollow Knight is, I kind of really doubt that there's going to be another game experience this huge in the indie space that's going to cause this much of a rift.
Yeah, and again, like they could have every reason to make it a $40 game because of the quality and the production value that's honestly put into it. So, if they felt like, hey, $20 was a great experience for the gamers, and they're really doing it out of their heart, okay, that's great too. And again, you also have to factor in, like you said about other independent developers and needing this is their lifeline. They easily could have, with everything that's kind of happening in the world with inflation and everything, they could have easily charged it with $30, $40, knowing how much of a loyal fan base that they had it though. But the fact that they still stuck it around that price point, that's good on them. And
Yeah,
that's
very
good on
much so.
gamers.
Yeah, but as mentioned in this article, we had like people like who's the name here? Like Mike Rose, the founder of the publishing group No More Robots, saying that the pricing is very tricky to manage. He's obviously been a long advocate for higher prices, but he says still a price that could still leave room for like discounts and stuff like that. And yeah, that's a good thing to mention. At $20, you can't really discount it any further than that.
That is an issue.
Yeah, because like it's already pretty low price as it is. So you're not really leaving room for discount. Yeah, that is a very interesting thing to mention. Is it
Good
worth it
point.
just to keep it at a low price and not have the opportunity to push a discount?
And again, like in terms of like the strategy of pricing it higher, like you said, even though, because here's the thing too, when you think about like the loyalties or the real loyalties of your game, you
Mm-hmm.
know, those are, you're going to get your first adapters that see the price point. So they're going, as long as they roll with you and they like your product, they're willing to pay whatever that high
Wherever it
premium
is,
price
yeah.
is just to be the first to get it.
Mm-hmm.
As you can clearly see now, like
You have streamers.
like
Yes.
your streamers, though, although depending, I think maybe streamers have connections to, let's say, to the developers where they maybe get first
Mm-hmm.
access to these
Yeah.
games, just to kind of help push those sales, though. But yeah, and I do understand that because, like, again, I don't think they're a greedy company, but in one end, yeah, you are leaving a lot of money on the table. That if we just had pushed it to say like that $40 price point and then drop it at $20, you're still gonna make a profit at the end of the day too. But
Mm-hmm.
even if you lower it down to 50%, so
Yeah.
everybody can get a hold of it too. So I totally understand it in both ways too. Like, yeah, it's price point is a very tricky situation. Like you are missing out on a lot of opportunity income. And for a game like this, like you said, that's been in delay for about 7 years, you could justify that with everything that's kind of happening around.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Yeah,
justifiable.
you could definitely justify a price increase for all that, and especially again, I really do think that Team Cherry's a very special case because they're just a small development team that just had to just get little bit of outside work to help push the game down, so they don't have a lot of to make back the costs of the game. They probably didn't need a lot to just to get past the break even point and start making pure profit on the game as it is. So for them, I really just feel like, yeah, I think they just wanted to do, just sometimes it just comes down to just like maybe just one to keep that goodwill, considering they did take a while with this game, and there was actually very little communication between the announcement and the release. They were like on social media to like constantly like telling people what's going on. They were in complete radio silence from what I heard, almost completely and it wasn't again till they got closer to release that they announced that the game is finally coming out. And apparently, it wasn't like anything huge. Like the game wasn't in development hell or anything. They were literally just taking their sweet time, making sure that everything is perfect. There wasn't any like major like development bugs that they need to iron out or anything. Like they just wanted to take their time with it. And I get that. And the thing is that a lot of developers have such a luxury because again, a lot of people really develop um are doing this to make a good living and to pay the bills and whatnot. So for them to basically do this simply, it's again to have that labor of love, like that labor of love push to it, that labor of love like can't even think of the word, but yeah, they basically just were able to take their time with it, and it's good for them, glad for them. But not every game developer has that luxury, you know. But yeah, overall, glad that Silksong exists. Glad that it's a major success. I do hope that more successful indie games like this comes out in the future. And yeah, the issue with the pricing, I do hope that it just doesn't become an issue, and I really don't think it will because again, Silksong was just such an anticipated game that so many people just wanted to play it, and I don't feel like an issue like this will happen again, at least not in the near future. I mean, that would be a good issue to have because like I've been rooting for indie games in the past few years compared to the AAA model, which has been had a lot of issues, and yeah, it kind of just shows the AAA model is not as sustainable as this because you don't have these kinds of problems in the AAA space compared to indie. But yeah, any last words? You feel like? Nah, no, okay. Well, anyway, what do you think about Hollow Knight Silk Song? Have you picked up the game? What do you think about the game? Do you feel that the game is priced fairly? Do you think it should have cost more? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like what we do, please, once again, rate, comment, and subscribe. I'm Mike with Isaac, and we are saying peace.